this course is particularly tailored after like grade 7 to above. So this is going to be an advanced programming. We already assume that you know the basic concepts of Java, and then moving forward, it will start with data structures and solving programs and algorithms moving forward. So that will be the course, and it is going to be extremely competitive. Every single day, we will do a lot of practice. Besides that, I will also give assignments and tests based on a particular output, and you would need to write down the code in such a way that it actually the result is going to match all the output that I produced. So yeah, I will talk more about that, but yeah, we have a good balance here. So the course is pretty advanced moving forward. We also have other students. So a couple of students are away. So they will be joining next week, and Lucy probably will join us soon in 10 minutes or so. Okay, so I'll start with sharing my screen, and I'll just talk about the means of communication and the programming thing in general. So everything we will do it on REPL. REPL is a web application that is built for learning programming, any kind of programming, and then practicing. And then we also have a team. Can we use IntelliJ or our own IDEs? Yes, for writing code, practicing code, you can always use. But the place where I host will always be on Replit. And if you are submitting assignments, you can work on your IDEs specifically, but you just need to submit the code on REPL. So everybody, I will be giving you the Replit link. This is the place where you need to have an account. And once you have an account, I will also add every single person to the team. You can just sign up with the Google account. Any Google account works. And once you have it, you just need to let me know in the next class. Probably I already created a pro coding team. So I will be adding you guys in that team once we have everything set. And the other means of communication is Discord. So after each class, I will submit the notes that we have written, and I will also submit the assignments and questions. Everything will be hosted on Replit anyway, but the means of communication is if you're running into an issue, if you don't understand a concept or anything, you need a documentation or you want to have a discussion, it will always be on Discord. So we can have a pretty good chat on Discord, and you can reach out to me any time of the day. Yeah, so we will do that. You just need to have a account on REPL and Discord. So I'll create a template. Sorry, I'll create a team next week. So make sure you just have an account on Discord. Next week, I will create an invite link, and then we can join and move from there. All right, so the basic things and the basic concepts and what's this course is going to provide you. That is exactly what I'm going to talk about now. So for anyone who doesn't know REPL, just give a basic understanding. So this is the Replit. For example, if you're working on your IntelliJ or like anything on your local environment, it is absolutely fine. But if you're trying out for the first time, REPL is a place where you can write your code, host your code in all these languages. So you can just pick whatever language you want, give it a title, and when you create a REPL, it will create something. Wait. Yeah, I have too many classes. Okay, so it will create something like this. Yeah, so this is a HTML. Now, whatever code you write, it will already have its own interpreter. It will have its own console. So you just need to run it, and then you'll have some. You just need to run it, and you will get the results based on whatever code you have written. So that's it. That's the basic usage of REPL. But what are we going to use is I'm going to have a team. For example, we have ProKids team. This is the team where we will create projects, and any assignments that you have, you will submit the assignments, and any tests. If I give you an assignment, and the assignment will be submitted to the exact same team, so I will get a notification whenever you submit the assignment. For example, if you have written this code, this is how you run it, and this will be the values moving forward. So that's about REPL. There is nothing fancy. And let's move forward with the course content. Okay, now team here. All right, so once you have a REPL ready next week, I will add you here, and then we will start creating projects and start from there. Every class will have its course contents. Like, for example, if today we are going to learn about introduction, it will always have its notes. This will be the notes moving forward, and any questions or assignments will be added to the unit tests. So how is that? What are we going to do? I will show you. So I will create a test, give it a name, for example, and this will be the expected input. For example, if the input is 1, if the input is 1 to 3, I want the output to be 1, 2, 3. For example, I want you to write a code where the input is 1 to 3 and the output should be 1 to 3. And that's all. I will talk about what is the question, how is the question going to be, and what is the expected value. When I set this test, you will write down the entire code and test it out. So you need to run the tests, and this test should match the exact output. In this case, it is matching hello world, but that's wrong. So until and unless it matches the exact output, it will not work. So that's how we are going to do our assignments or any exercises in the class moving forward. Okay, so let me just talk about the competitive programming in general and how we are going to prepare and what are the concepts that we are going to learn. So basically, competitive programming doesn't just make you learn the programming in general, but it is more of understanding the deep meaning of every single line or the code that you write. And if you are someone who's looking to pursue a career in software development, or you want to be a developer or an engineer, software engineer moving forward, this is going to be a complete base for you. And the language that we are going to focus is going to be Java. Everything will be written in Java. Because I also know other programming languages, I can also give you an insight of, for example, Python. The same answer or the same solution for that question, if I get free time, I will also produce you in a different programming language like Python. So as you learn, you will also get another dimension of a different programming language, and then you can pick whichever is the easiest thing for you moving forward. But Java is going to be the base. And not just learning the programming language, we will also learn time and space complexity. So every time you write an algorithm, you work on something, it is very important that it is quick, it doesn't consume too much space, and it is the easiest solution possible. So these are the 3 components that we will also learn. And for competitive programming, this is also something they look, this is a criteria. So we will also learn about time and space. Oops. We will also learn about time and space complexity. Not sure if anybody know, it's called, it's something sounds like O of n, O of 1. It's a big concept, so we will start with that concept, time and space, and we will be learning about learning a lot of algorithms. We will start with data structures. And for anyone who doesn't know what are data structures, there are arrays, stacks, heaps, graphs, array list, linked list, and so on. There are multiple. So we will take each concept every week and then we will work on it. So you working the concept is going to be from scratch. You don't learn some problems and then you move on. No. Array concept from depth. You should be able to create an array from the scratch and reverse it or do whatever you want. You should have a complete understanding of array. So that is what we will figure out in this entire course. And if anything, for example, you're learning about graphs and you're not competent, or if the graphs is not working out for you, we will see how to put that in an easier way. You just need to let me know and give feedback every time you doesn't understand the concept, because these are going to be the base, complete base. Data structures are going to be the complete base of the program. So now that we know we chose a Java programming language, we are going to understand the concept of time and space. We will learn all the fundamentals of data structures and algorithms, and we will take the challenge and solve coding problems. So every class will have a challenge and coding problem. So an example of coding problem, we will look into that today. So you will have coding problems, and the coding problems will involve the concept that you're learning. For example, you learned arrays that day, and your challenge or the coding problem will be based on an array, not based on a linked list that you haven't tried. And practice and do it regularly. Even though I teach you all the concepts, at the end of the day, you need to practice, you need to submit the assignments, you need to ask questions. That is very important. And yep, that's all. So to start with, how this course is going to be. So today we are going to do two things. One is we are going to try out a test. So we are going to try out an input and output test as an example. And the test name is going to be, let's say, reverse an array. Yeah, reverse an array. And the input that I want to provide is, for example, 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the output I'm expecting is 4, 3, 2, 1. This input, you need to take it in your code. And when you're printing out, this should be the output in the exact format. And then save. So let's go to our main.java. And let's figure out how to solve this problem. So what is this problem asking for? So this problem is asking for, given an array, let's say A, and of size n, print the reverse of an array. Right? So you given an array A of size n, print the reverse of it. And the example is the input is 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first line contains an integer denoting the number of test cases. So the number of test cases are going to be 1, and each test case contains 2 lines of input. So the first line contains n, which is the size of the array. This is going to be the size of the array. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to be the input. And the output of it is going to be 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm going to repeat this. So 1, the first input always represents the number of test cases that you want to solve or that you're supposed to solve. So we only have one test case. And the second one is going to be the n, the value of number of integers that are going to present in an array. So it is going to be 4. And the input is 1, 2, 3, 4. And the expected output is 4, 3, 2, 1. So that is going to be the base. Now, this is just an example. We will not start by doing all the programs. We will start learning the concepts and do the programs. But today, I'm just going to give a glimpse. All right. So for anyone, can I get an answer? How many of you know the basics of array in general, and how many of you don't? So I can decide if I want to give a small introduction of an array. Okay. Just one. I know Lynn knows arrays as well. Anyone else? Okay, Sophia. Jay. Yeah, it's a little bit. We only have a mix of people here, so okay, it's fine. For anyone who doesn't know, let me just talk about what is an array. So array is like a data structure. So whenever I say data structure, you're going to talk about something that stores a value. Variable is something that stores a value, but an array is a data structure that can hold multiple values in just one single variable, right? For example, integer a is 10. This is called a variable. Now, what's the difference between string of cars variable versus a variable? Two things. A is an integer, cars is a string. And the other thing is the cars is an array, which means it can hold not just one, but multiple values like this. And so on. It can hold multiple things. So array is one thing that can hold multiple values, and you would separate them with a comma, not a space, not an exclamation, nothing but a comma. So each comma indicates that these are two separate values. But a variable can only hold one value. And if you modify the variable in the next line, for example, the value gets changed. Okay, so that is an array. An array is something that holds a value. So what am I asking? I'm asking, take an input. The input is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And I want you to print the output 4, 3, 2, 1. That is your problem right there. So you need to understand what's an array, and you also need to understand how to reverse an array. So let's start solving this issue. So there are multiple ways you can solve this issue, but we will go individually step by step. Whenever I create this input-output test, you need to, as I told you, this is going to be your input automatically. So you need to consider someone is sending this input. So every time you want to read something, you need to have a scanner. A scanner is something that you will scan line by line, or a next integer or a next line. It can be anything depending on the problem. So scanner is something which will scan the input and gets you the input into the problem, right? If you want to store it into a variable, you would use a scanner, you would get that in variable, you would get that input and assign it to a variable. So that is the first step. So in order to get a scanner, we need to import java.util. This is a package that contains all the required classes or required properties that we need to use. So scanner is a class. We are going to import that from the util package. The other thing, usually language is imported by default. You don't have to explicitly mention that. Some people also import input and output IO. So these three can be basic moving forward when you are trying to solve a problem that I created right here. Okay, so we know what to use now. The first step is to get a scanner. Get a scanner to grab the input from the test. So we already have a scanner. So you would create a scanner object. Right? So I have created a scanner object. Scanner S equals to new scanner system.in. This is my variable. I'm calling it S. Now using this S, I can get next lines and I can get the entire input. So that's going to be my start. So what I'm going to do is the first variable is going to be a test case. How many number of test cases am I going to have? I'm going to have one. So I am looking for this first input and I'm storing it in test case. So the number of test cases, we can do number of test cases equals to, using the scanner, I'm saying scanner dot get me the next integer. Whatever is the integer, get me the first integer. And then store it in the number of tests. Typically, based on my test, the value is going to be 1. That's it. That is what I'm expecting. The next thing is, now that you have 1, you also have the second input. That is going to be the number of elements or number of items going to be in the array. And the number of items that is going to be in the array is 4. So we will also need to save that. So I can just say integer number equals to scanner dot next int. So that is based on my question, it's going to be 4. I have number of tests, I have number of integers or number of items. Now it's time for me to create an array. So I'm going to create an integer array. And the length of the array is going to be n, which is 4. Okay. So these are the 3 basic steps that I have done. Grabbing the scanner, getting the number of test cases, getting the number of items, and then creating my array based on the number of items. Okay, so what's the next thing? The next thing is I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 back to back. I'm going to have 4 values. And how am I going to store those 4 values? And can I use a loop? Because I can't just go step by step saying integer 1 equals to grab the array of first item or something like that. No, you don't want to repeat the steps. So you want to keep it dry, which means do not repeat yourself. So the best way to use is a loop. So you can say use loop to grab the number of items. So I am going to create a for loop. And my for loop is going to start from 0. And it is going to go until n, which is the length of an array. And then for each loop, increment it. Increment the value of 5. Now I'm assuming everybody knows what's a loop. That's why I'm moving forward. So I am going to repeat my loop for n times. And each loop, I'm going to increment the I value. So it starts from 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And what do I want to do for each array, for each item? You just need to grab it from next int, which is grab from the scanner. So now the scanner is going to repeat 1, 2, 3, 4, and it is going to store it in a value of a of 1, a of 2, and so on in this manner. So let me write it down what happens in the background. So in the background, it's going to look like this. A of 0 is going to be 1. A of 1 is going to be 2. A of 2 is going to be 3. And A of 3 is going to be 4. So this is the loop cycle. So for each A of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is 0 to n, it's going to go and assign all these values. So once it's assigned the values, what do I want to do? I just want to print it, but I want to print it in a reverse order. How would I do that? Same thing. Let's use a for loop. This time, you don't start your loop from a 0, but you want to start your loop in a reverse order because you want to print it in a reverse order. So you don't start from 0, but instead start from a n minus 1. So what's n minus 1? Array of 3. Start from there and go down. So you're going backwards until 0, which is array of 0. And then go in a backward direction. Hence, we are I minus minus. So for each array, you are going down. Okay, looks good. So the best way to print the output is system.out.println. And what is the value that you want to print? Sorry, it's not supposed to be in brackets. So the value that you want to print is I, the value of I. And that's it. Just because you want to have a difference for each item, I'm just going to add a empty line, system.out.println. And once this is done, you would set the test case minus minus. This is a one-time action. So you would just set the test case value to 0 or something. Now we start with 1, so it will be 0. Why is it showing me an error? Oh. Yeah. Perfect. Now this is this the correct solution yet? I don't know, right? I would not know until I run my tests. So let's run our tests and see the results. So what are the results? The results are expected value is 4321, but the answer I got is 4321 in a new line. But I need to print it back to back on the side to side. I'm not supposed to print it in each next line. So where am I going wrong? What am I doing? So the next step that comes when you're writing a program is debugging. Debugging is trying to understand where you went wrong. Let's see. Sorry, someone has a question. Good. That's a good suggestion from Samuel. Yep. So for anyone who doesn't know where, just looking at the results for anyone who doesn't know which line did you go wrong, the best thing you can do is you can print outputs individually. You can start printing outputs, seeing whether did I go wrong here or did I go wrong here, and all of that. So that will provide you an output. But at this point of time, looks like Samuel already know why. But the basic debugging is for you to understand where you went wrong. Yeah, it is giving me a error saying prints a Boolean value. The print produced by Java long string value of is translated into bytes. So what in general, what this is saying is, one second. It is a type of print stream and it is not applicable for this particular program. So you're not able to use a print in this particular program. So let's put it back. So that is already throwing me an error. So that's not a solution. Now, what else am I missing? I am missing one thing. I am supposed to print remove ln, but not on 27, not on line number 27, on line number 25. So let's see. This doesn't give me an error because the print method that I'm using right here is acceptable. When I use a println on an empty line, it makes no sense for Java to understand why do you want to use a print method on an empty line. So it will not work. And if I just use a print on a place which has multiple values, that makes sense for me to use this method. Okay, so this doesn't give me any errors. So I'm assuming probably this is the right solution. So let me run the tests again. And this time it failed. So let's see what's the value. So the actual output is 4321, but the value or the answer that is expecting is 4 space 3 space 2 space 1. So now I'm still wondering, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? Does anyone know what is the value or what's the change that I need to do here? We are almost there, right? Our results are reversed as expected, but we are just missing a small difference. That's a space. Where should I add that space? It's an easy. Okay, I'll ask questions. Okay. Where am I printing 4321? Which line am I printing 4321? Just give me the line number. Which line is actually responsible for printing 4321? Line number 25. Absolutely, right? That's going to be our actual line that we need to debug. Okay, so what am I missing here? I have changed it to print. Why is it not printing the exact value? What am I missing? Guys, this is the easiest question I could ask, actually. You guys already know what's the line number. What am I missing? I'm missing a space. Where exactly I'm missing? I'm missing on line number 25. Why do you have lines 27 and 28 and 25? Just add a space in this string. Yep, this would fix it. Yep, that's all. And let's run the results. I'm sorry, let's run the tests again. Yeah, so this time we have 4, 3. Yeah, I'll get that to Ronald. I think I like your question. I'll get there. 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is expected. So the test will pass. So this is an example of how you will have a test moving forward. Okay, so what Ronald is saying is this is actually a dead code. So what we can do is let's remove these and try to understand, are these lines actually making any sense? If I remove these lines, would it make any difference in the result? So let's run the tests again. And the results make no sense. And that is absolutely correct. But why would we need, when would we need this? Let's go edit the test case. Maybe let's make it 2. Four. Yeah, I haven't thought about it, but let's see. Let me try something here. And the expected value that I want is and when I have this, I need to make sure I'm repeating this particular part of the code, which is this particular part of the code. Okay, so what did I just do? I'm assuming that there are going to be 2 tests. The first one is going to have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the second one is going to have 3, 1, 2, 3. When in scenarios like this, now this could not be a correct test case, but I'm giving you an example. When in scenarios like this is where the exact lines will come in handy, right? If you're trying to print a second output, you don't want to print it along with this particular line. So that's when you divide the lines in new line. So that is the first part. Why do I need a second part? Number of test cases, why are you even putting them back to a negative? What is even the point of this line? The point of this line is, imagine the number of test cases is not 1 but 2. And this particular action, probably not this. Yeah, we don't need this, we don't need this. Yeah, let's start from here. This particular action needs to be repeated for other test case. How would you do that? What is that variable that you want to target? So the variable that we will target is the number of test cases, right? So let's assume the number of test cases 2, and we are going to use a while loop, and the condition is based on number of test cases. For example, while number of test cases is greater than 0, and then I want to include this entire operation, including this here. I don't think the test will pass because I don't think, okay, oh, that's surprising. So 3 to 1 is expected output 3 to 1. So that's exactly what the purpose of number of test cases minus. So using this variable as a key to repeat the process until it's 0. Now, it's the same thing. Obviously, Ronald was absolutely right? If I just have 1, this could be sufficient. You would not need a while loop. You would not need anything. But let's assume each test case is going to have multiple values. Then this is why the 2 lines were required. And if you add this, if I come back and I edit it back with 3, 4, 5, 6, and the expected value is 6, 5, 4, 3, my test would still pass no matter, because I've already made, oops, this is so funny. This is funny. I added a space. What? Wait one sec. 4321, 321. That's my actual output. Yeah, I need to change the input again on the first line right here. This one. Perfect. So let's run the test again. And let's look at the results. 4321, 321, 4644. Awesome. That's it. And that's all. So that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question or not. All right, that's it. So this is a basic example of what we will do on an array. But don't worry if you don't know what is the concept of an array. It is absolutely fine and it is expected. That is where I come. That is where I teach what's an array, and I will teach everything from scratch in Java. You should be able to reverse, multiply, do whatever you want with an array at the end of the class, at the end of the array course. So that will be the goal. Okay. So now you got what I'm expecting. When I create a test and I give it to you, this is what I'm expecting. But I will show you how you can go wrong and how do you want to debug that. You know, when you have multiple lines of code, it is very important, multiple lines of input. It is very important that you set the values exactly, right? In the example that I've showed, if I set 4 to number of test cases without realizing, it would extremely screw up my entire program, and I would wonder where exactly is it going. I would think, oh, I'm getting this value from the input. Looks like the test itself is bad. No. The values that you are retrieving, you should understand where you're keeping, how you're storing, and how you're utilizing. And a space indicates a space. It's taking some memory, right? If I'm asking for a space, that's expected. If you get 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a wrong value. That is not what I'm expecting. So you need to keep an idea of space. If I want answers in an individual lines like this, that should also be the expected output. You can't write it down in 1, 2, 3, 4 in the same line. All of that. Yeah, so let's modify this test one last time. Let's just keep it to 1 input. Okay, now I want the answer 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry, that's the input. Never mind. 1, 2, 3, 4. But I want the expected output. This. It is going to be an easy fix, but I want you guys to solve it. Okay, so I'll run the tests. It'll fail because it's expecting that. Yeah. All right, that's a good answer. We just did that previously. And then remove the, okay, so let's do that. And let's run the tests. It still failed because, hey, wait. Did I put the expected output? Okay, I put the expected output wrong. Let me just grab that. 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Let's save that. Let's run that. And let's look at that. Perfect. That's all. So anybody have any questions on how you are going to answer the tests moving forward? It's important you let me know now. If you don't understand, yep, I will right away explain. But this is an important part of the course altogether and the exercises. Okay, so if nobody doesn't have any questions. Oh, someone is, yep.
For the question, why do we have to have test cases? I'm kind of confused.
Yeah, so the test case is a part where I create the tests and I'm expecting the value in a certain format. If I ask you to reverse an array, you could do that. You could just Google that. It would still work and anything would still work, right? The reason I create my own tests is I want the output to be in a certain manner, and you would need to pass all the test cases that I write. Do you get it? You could reverse an array individually as well. You don't have to worry about this. The test cases are just the amount of times the action is repeated. No, not necessarily. The test case is where I created with certain, with an intention and with an expected value. And you need to conformly pass all of that. For example, if you don't do a loop until n, but you do an n-1, this would absolutely fail. But would this not be a solution for reversing an array? Yes, this would still work for reversing an array, but only up to this point. And you have a freedom of figuring out until what you want. But when I create a test, you will not have a freedom, but you just have to completely get all the answers right. That's the concept. But what I'm trying to say is, even if you write this for loop, it would still reverse an array. And you as an individual will know how to reverse an array. But this is what we call a challenge. Learning the concept is different versus doing the actual challenge. That's all. But to start with, if you don't want these, it's okay. But the idea of this course is to be, it's like this. It's competitive. It's a bit on a higher level than the regular classes. I hope I answered that. Yeah, so the other thing is, I was also thinking about like a regular test, right? For someone who doesn't want to deal with arrays in general, let's do a small test. Let's call it sum the numbers or something like that. So when I say sum the numbers, in my head, I'm thinking I'll give you 3, 4, 5. And the answer I'm expecting is 3 plus 4 plus 5. This is what I'm expecting. Now, if I give 1 to 3, I'm expecting 6. So this will be a test case. And if I give 10 values like that, when you write one single code, that should pass all the values. And I will also give in a string. And I would expect you to give me the value 6. I will also give you, for example, and I'm expecting the value, right? This is a challenge. Will I not know that you would be able to add this? Absolutely, you would be able to add this, and that would solve you a problem. But this is what we call a challenge. So that's what we do in competitive programming. That's why we have all the tests. I hope that explains. Yeah, for anyone who's wondering, how would you solve this 3, 4, 5? Does anyone have an answer? That actually has a logic, if I remember. Probably not the most efficient way, but yeah, it is fine. Anything's fine. You have a strange way. Yeah, just let me know what your thoughts are. It's fine even if it's wrong. String slice, okay. You would take 1, 2, 3, you would slice it, and then add those. So 1 plus 2 plus. So you missed one part here. When you slice, great. The slicing part is completely practical. Adding that back is not. Why? Because when you sliced, like what's the data? It's a string. You would have to convert. So you missed one point, that is conversion to an integer. Oh, then in them back. No, you need to convert and then add. Oh, I didn't see that. In the first and second, and then add those and add the third, etc. Okay, that works. In the first and second, yeah. Okay, that's not a strange way. That's okay. That is probably not the efficient, but it solves the problem. That's good. Yep. Yep. There is absolutely. I think this has a theory, like it has a calculative problem. Like you would take the percentile of that, and then you would divide. If I remember it correctly, you would do something like this. Would take n percentile. You would take n percentile 10, and then you would do n by 10. So this, I think this is the possible efficient solution, and that would solve in one line. Okay, yeah, exactly. So that's all. So that's the glimpse of the course, guys. So we will start with data structures from the next class, and everything will be moving forward from there. Just be ready when you're joining the next class. Just be ready with your REPL and then ready with the Discord. Yeah, so once you have that, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Sum plus n plus 10 and then by 10. That's exactly what I was talking about. And then we will move forward with the courses. Anything, if you have any questions, guys, meanwhile, you can this is my Discord. Just send me a text if you have any questions or queries. For someone, I think if I remember correctly, there is a 4th grade. Is that, I forgot who's that. Yeah, there's a 4th grade person. I think we would need you to add to a different class, not this. But for all the ones that are above 7 and above, they will continue this course. All right, guys. So I'll let you have a good weekend. It's a 1-hour trial class, and let me know if you have anything or any feedback. Bye, guys.